Good morning, Service Alliance community. How y'all doing today?
What's happening, Zach?
What's up, buddy?
W-
How you
it-
doing?
Is there a time change today or something?
Yeah, it's called My Family Has Me All Screwed Up. My wife didn't go to work because she doesn't have to work this week.
Oh, yeah.
And we had, like 12 inches of snow.
Nice.
Okay. Um,
Yes. It's Christmas time, my friend. It's Christmas time.
I am all thrown off. And this dryness in the air, we haven't fired up the
Sure.
humidifiers all the way. It's like
Sure.
strangling me.
Well, this is the time of year. Like I just did this with a fairly new employee, new technician. Sometimes I think they forget that, or they didn't know that I really was out on the road for a very long time. So you kind of just have to let them know what they're probably experiencing. So I was explaining to a guy who's been with us about a year, and I go, what used to bother me is you're rolling into a house like the week of Thanksgiving or Christmas, and like the house has extra people, extended family are visiting, and they're all in their like matching pajama bottoms and sweatshirts, and you're here at work and you're getting their sub-zero refrigerator fixed, and they're all jolly and you want to be jolly, but you're kind of resenting them. And then you hear them do stuff that I think this is why I love to go to movies on my, like on holiday days off, because they'd all be like, hey, let's go see Die Hard 12 today at noontime. And I'm like, when can I get this righteousness, this beautiful freedom of just hanging out with family in my pajamas and going to the movies? That's what. So it just kind of drove me nuts. Still don't have that, by the way. Damn it. Gosh darn.
Don't be jealous of me today. I don't know if
Yeah.
you heard there was like 12 inches of snow in there.
Yeah. So you have a snow day today?
Where am I gonna go?
Uh,
Get on top of a roof.
that's true. I guess. Well, you're definitely, again, you're in a newer industry, a different industry than you were, and that we're in here. So yeah, you've got the. By the way, just notice my wife bought some candy. This is to tell me how my Monday is going to go, right? Little mini Starburst. What's the worst flavor you can get in Starburst?
Pink.
No,
Oh, pink is
orange.
terrible.
Orange. Two oranges.
Oh boy.
All right, I'm going to try not to be superstitious here and not even think about the fact that I just drew two oranges. All right. What are we
So
talking about today, Zach?
we are talking. Took us a long time to get here.
Yeah,
We're
what the heck?
talking 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, the laws
Mm.
that we have fought, that we have won with, that the things that we've found out in the 21 laws, and maybe we even have a favorite law. And by favorite, I mean one that we've had to work on, and we've seen some progress in.
Mm.
Mm.
You all
I
right,
need
my
to get
friend?
these humidifiers running. It's killing me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to talk the 21 laws, the things that Doug and I have been through with the 21 laws, and our experiences with them, and should be good. Looking forward to it.
Well, let me open us up in a little morning prayer. Lord God, we come to you with the gratitude of thanksgiving, and we ask, Lord, that you help us see all the things around us that you have blessed us with. Um, Help us uh, be aware of the power that you have and the love that you have for us. Help us be uh, filled with satisfaction and gratitude for all the things that you give us and provide for us. Lord God, help us be great leaders. Help us be selfless and inspiring, especially through your word, Lord, to our customers, to our employees, to the people around us, to our family. Lord, help us with our family. Our inner circle, Lord, sometimes gets the scraps. sometimes gets the rawness and the realness in our lives. Lord, help us be our exceptional selves, especially in our inner circle with our family. We give you these praises and these requests in your name. Amen.
Amen. So I'm just going to go over what the 21 laws are. I know you have your book somewhere nearby.
Yep.
But for our audience, just so they know what the heck we're talking about today, we got the law of the lid. How well you lead determines how well you succeed. The law of influence. True measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. The law of process. Leadership develops daily, not in a day. Law of navigation. Anyone can steer the ship, but it takes the leader to chart the course. Law of addition. Leaders add value by serving others. Law of solid ground. Trust is the foundation of leadership. Law of respect. People naturally follow better leaders than themselves. Law of intuition. Law of magnetism. Law of connection. Law of the inner circle. This is one you and I love. We love number 11. Law of empowerment. Law of the picture. Law of buy-in. Law of victory. Law of Big Mo. That's a great one. Law of priorities. Law of sacrifice. Law of timing. Law of explosive growth. And law of legacy.
There's a lot of them, like 21 of them.
I know.
This is the coolest book that I've ever read, and I've been through a bunch lately over the last few years. So this is the one that I think is the secret sauce, because they're all interwoven together. When you put them together, they build something amazing and strong. And over the last year, I think it was, I kind of, with the help of Chat GPT, I can't find it though, put them into categories. And like I remember the qualities of a leader. Some of those laws were the law of the lid, of course, right? You can only be as successful as the capacity that you have in your own head, which means we can't stop learning, right? The law of solid ground, which means if you're going to build a team, they've got to trust you, right? The law of respect is that any of our leaders that we bring up in our company, the team has to respect them. If they respect you, but not someone that you've put in charge, then that whole sort of chain falls to pieces, right? The law of sacrifice, which I sometimes have fun with, which is, when am I ever right? I don't need to be right, to be honest with you. Sometimes letting a leader or somebody figure it out for themselves, to be the Debbie Downer and tell them they're all wrong and give them the right answer. So sacrifice means sometimes I have to be really extra patient and let them grow on their own, right? And that inner circle, the law of the inner circle, right, Zach? I mean, I've got an eclectic group of people that are not part of our company, some of them not even a part of the appliance industry. They're people that I can go to. And then the law of legacy, which means I have to keep remembering that I can't keep doing this forever. And I need to move on as fast as possible and replace my leadership, my role, with someone else. And so that's just the one section that I can remember of the qualities of a leader, which is what we're striving to be, right, Zach?
Yeah. Well, let's start. Let's start with the law of the inner circle, because that is our absolute favorite. That is the one that both of us, I feel like, have really worked pretty hard to develop, realizing we needed that eclectic bunch of people to come into our lives. Mine varies. It goes across industries, it goes across skill sets, it goes across leadership levels. right? Sounds like you're having a Monday over there.
Yeah, let me mute my phone here. Jeez.
Welcome to Monday, Doug. Welcome.
Yeah.
You guys get snow? Is everyone calling off?
Tuesday it's happening.
So the inner circle, I mean, Doug, you're a part of my inner circle. I go to you as a sounding board. And it may not always be the advice I want. And that's the great part about an inner circle. You don't want people that are necessarily going to agree with you. You don't want yes men. And I think that's been, for me, the most valuable thing is having people to kind of push up against my ideas. My pastor's in the inner circle, Graham. He's also very much into John Maxwell and leadership. And so, you know, he'll challenge ideas, he'll challenge things that I'm doing as a leader, as part of my inner circle,
Right.
encouraging me to grow. So yeah.
For
Very
me, I try to bring people in for the obvious reason where I'm weak,
Yeah.
so that I can seek advice and support and counsel. Sometimes you know what you need to do, but you're doing something that is where you're doing something in the business that's not your strong suit. Your intuition, which is another law, I think, isn't it? Law of intuition, yeah, is telling you what to do, but you just don't feel comfortable and confident. And so having someone in your inner circle that is an expert in that area is great. But I also like to bring people in that are like-minded like me, because that imposter syndrome sometimes kicks in. And I need to make sure that someone who has my way of thinking and my way of leadership, I can get that fellow endorsement sometimes. Or maybe I'm just a little discouraged and frustrated, even though I know that I'm right where I need to be. I can go to that person and they can just be speaking the words I would tell myself if I wasn't stuck where I'm at, because I already know it. I believe it 100%. It's raving fans of your mindset and leadership. And a good example of that is I really truly believe to run a company, you know, we have about almost 20 technicians. If I could take the collective brains and experience and knowledge of all of my senior techs and leadership and instill it, just like do a download dump into my brand new tech, their life would be amazing, right? And so rather than just hire a tech, train them up, put them on commission, which is the carrot, and have them figure it out on their own, I would love for them to be instantly filled with our knowledge. Weirdly enough, Zach, I can't find a lot of business owners out there that believe in hiring a coach, a pretty high salary coach that can level up your team. I've run it by my inner circle and other people, and a lot of times they're like, I think if you put them on commission, that's enough. And I'm very simplifying their answer. They've got the right. They're not wrong. I'm just saying, Zach, I've not found that person quite yet that's given me 2 thumbs up. Yeah, keep looking for that high salary coach to run your techs, you know. So that's an example of my inner circle being sort of vetted for trying to process what I'm not 100% sure I can achieve.
Yeah. I love it. You know, one of the laws that I have come up against and lost against, and it forced me to make a change, is the law of magnetism. You attract what you are, right? Who you are is what you're going to attract.
Yeah.
And so when I was a very grumpy, angry, miserable, punching the time clock guy, that's what was around me all the time. And as far as like within the company, right? Like if I had a certain attitude about customers, or I had a certain attitude about those around me,
Mm-hmm.
those same people were in my company with that same attitude,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And this also works in the positive, right? So that was the
Mm-hmm.
negative side of it. When that was my mindset and my flow, that's what I was attracting. And
Right.
as I've made that shift into the positive, all of a sudden it's more positive people. It's people striving to grow. It's people
That's right.
striving for better leadership. It's people looking to go to the next level, right? And so that's where I came up against the law,
Yeah.
but also how that law flipped, right?
Yeah.
And so that is probably the law that I've had to struggle with and work against, and then embrace. And just like a magnet, once you embrace it,
Mm.
in a good way, it's gonna pull those people to you. So
Well, and I feel like law of magnetism, again, under like sort of a category of these 21, under the relationship side, right?
mm-hmm,
And so you want to have the magnetism, as you so well said, right? To bring people, they got to be excited about
mm-hmm,
what you're bringing in, right? So first, you yourself have to be attractive and exciting and inviting for people to come in. And then once they're there, other laws start to kick in, like the law of buy-in, right? And so they're excited about the way you think, the way you lead, what your goals are, and as you're telling them what your plan is, the excitement when they are like, you know what, I want that. I want to be a part of that. So the law of buy-in for me is sort of like a crossroads as
mm-hmm.
I'm vetting people and deciding, do we take them on? Do we level them up? It depends on that buy-in, and it's important because John Maxwell has the law of addition. How long do you want to wear? We talk about this all the time, you and I. This is
Mm-hmm.
one that how long do you want to wear 21 hats or 50 hats in your company and be everything all the time? You have to have a desire to have a law to embrace the law of addition and bringing people on, that all are taking on the muse of your creation and
Well, and not
creating
just
their version of what they see in you and your business and your vision.
that, but law of addition, add value by serving others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
when you have that type of mindset, your team sees you serving.
Mm-hmm.
Your team sees you pouring into them, and helping them,
Yes.
elevate. And so they then begin to model that same thing, and they're pouring into others, and they're helping others
Mm-hmm.
come along, and it just really becomes this self-sustaining cycle when you can really embrace that law of addition.
Well, and I think see, that's what's so cool about this book is that every chapter, again, they all interconnect. So I think you were kind of touching on the law of empowerment. So
Mm,
you get that attraction of good people wanting to be a part of the dream that you're building, and then because you recognize the law of addition is important, and if they buy in, oh, we're on our way. And then the next thing is law of empowerment, which is what I think you were kind of talking about, giving them the opportunity to create ownership of
mhm.
their part and their capacity of getting things done, right? Because the law of empowerment, you know what it does? It removes a lot of bottlenecks in your business. Think
Mm,
about everywhere in your business that things get backed up because you have to say yes or no, or that you are the person that makes that task happen. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is that task? It's important to get it done and done well. That's the law of process. But the sooner you bring people on and empower them to own those things you remove bottlenecks in the business.
It's true. It's very true. What's another law? What's one that you've come up against and kind of not won? We've shared ones that you've been winning with.
Yeah.
What's one that you've struggled with?
Probably one of them is the law of priorities, right? I mean, I can put the list together and then even put at the very top what that priority is. But like if I'm overwhelmed, if I'm tired, if I'm just not excited about it, I might put it off. And then all of a sudden the repercussions of ignoring something that was important to do. So that one's a tough one for me. I do not have ADHD. And maybe I do, but I don't think I do. It's just that I don't have that discipline, and I think it's just something that I have to work on. I don't have some sort of brain spin thing that you and my wife and Jay and others have. So, but yeah, that's one for me. How about you?
Well, you know where I've come up against the law of priorities, right? So leaders understand activity is not necessarily accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
More often than not, with law of priorities, instead of prioritizing leading others and developing them, I've been so busy doing the
Right.
work
Yeah.
that no leadership happens, and then everyone's just kind of adrift, right? And so me always doing the work, and I've said this in some of the masterminds, and Tom Howard said it out at PSA as well. Being in the truck is not a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And so, oh, I'm so busy, you know, I'm running 10 calls a day and and I have a team. If you have a team, it's not a badge of honor.
Right.
It's not, because who's leading the team while you're out being busy? And I've come up against that, whether in the appliance world, coming up against it in roofing, right? I'm doing the repairs. I don't have guys with me right now. I've come up against it in the church leading the tech team. And so, like, just being busy for busy's sake, or being busy, you know, like wearing it like a badge of honor. I have come up against that law so many times. That is one that has kicked my butt. And then the
Yeah.
law of the lid, right? Like there was a period of time, and I still go through cycles, right? Law of lid, you can only lead as well as you are, right? Like you can only lead to that level, and you're only going to attract other leaders and other team members that are below your level.
Yeah.
So if you're like a level 4 leader, well, guess what? You're going to have a bunch of 1s and 2s and 3s working for you. You might get lucky and have a 4 come alongside you. But that's all you'll ever be. Right.
Wow.
And so
Yeah.
if you're not going to attract level 10 leaders, it's not going to happen. You're not going to.
I forgot about that part. Great. One more thing to shackle to my back, Zach, right? No, but
Oh,
that's a really good point about law of the lid, is that it is next to impossible to think somebody who's an 8 wants to come join a guy that's a 4.
right.
It's not reasonable to think, I mean, maybe luck will get you there, but probably not, right? We
Yeah.
want tens. We want tens for our business. And if
Right.
we're 6s and 7s, you're totally right. I think that's just one that I'm not going to beat myself up on, but I'm going to always remember is one of the most critical ones. It's the law of the lid for sure, right?
Well, I think that's the biggest part is learning and growing and never stopping learning and growing, right?
Yeah.
You constantly have to be working to raise that law of the
Mhm.
lid. And in it, John is saying, like, listen, you're only ever going to be able to go to what your capacity is. And I feel like if we develop it, there's a lot of us that could be level 10 leaders, but we never
Yeah.
spend the time actually developing it. So we always stay at a 4, a 5, a 6
Sure.
as a leader. Now, there are people out there who their capacity, their lid is 6. They'll never grow beyond a 6 because that is really just where their natural gifts are. That's as high as they go.
Right.
But there's
Right.
so many of us that have this capacity to raise that lid if we only put in the time to do it. And I think both you and I, Doug, are really at that point where, you know, we may rank ourselves as lower level leaders than we really are. If we were to ask honest opinions, we're probably a little bit higher than we are, but we continue to push
Right.
that boundary, right?
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, it's that authentic thing, like the Derek Jeter, right? You would think this guy, the Yankees, didn't have to practice, but he practiced extra hard, and it paid off, right? Because he was already great. It made him greater, you know. So he didn't rest on his greatness, and I am definitely not great, but I am. Yeah, exactly. The hunger to just keep on elevating
Yeah.
is the real formula. You know, there's another law that I would say our company or our leadership team is working through as we stumble here and there, and that's the law of victory, right? Leaders, we take responsibility for the finding the way to win on these challenges, right? And here's where my team's we've got to get better at it. Failure inspires solutions, not excuses. And so to be excited about messing up and recognizing we just found out some new information, we found out that doesn't work. What's next? And to have that energy and attitude to go, whatever it takes, we're going to try something different. And not give up. And I'm not saying giving up, just, giving up because, in that moment, we've run out of ideas. And that's why you got to have that law of inner circle. You have to have a strong leadership team so someone can come alongside you and go, come on now, we got this. What about this? No, that's stupid. What about this? Oh, wait a minute. There you go. And now you work your way into the next possible way because we can't give up. So the law of victory is something that team action is working towards, and then the last one I can think of that I'm not saying I'm struggling, but we're working on. It's the law of explosive growth, right? Leading leaders means you're gonna just kind of coach them and watch them and guide them, but let them develop on their own abilities and timing, and that right there makes your team strong rather than someone trying to live up to my expectation, but to coach them to a spot where they're going, I want to be a good leader in the area of relationships or process. So what is it that I have to do? And so the only way that we can really grow is to have people excited about growing. And so explosive growth means that you kind of got to do a little watering and step back and evaluate and coach them up or coach them out, So that's the one that I'm not discouraged on, but the one that we're working through. And I look forward to becoming a little bit smarter through intuition and continuing to hang out with smart people and read about how to experience the law of explosive growth.
I love it.
What is Andrew trying to say? I would have read this book over the weekend if I knew I needed to learn all this Greek. I'm gonna tell you something, Andrew. Like, I read the book and I listened to the book, and I can't believe in my scattered brain. And this might be one of those situations where you're like, "Hey, have you seen that movie?"
Yeah.
Nah, and you're like a huge fan of it. You're like, "This was like the greatest movie ever," and you go, "Did you see it?" And they're like, "Yeah, it was okay." And you're like, "What? How is it possible that we are at polar opposites of this? This is like the greatest thing." Andrew, you gotta listen. Just listen to it in the car between calls, and just think of every law, which is a chapter, this might be sacrilegious, almost like the way the Bible's written, separate books, but they come together to tell a bigger story. I think that's what this book kind of, the way I see this book, is being written and has its effect.
Yeah, for you and I, like this is our default. This is our primary language. We live and breathe, and all the things that we do are mindset and leadership. Like that's very much you and I, Doug. We approach it from different ways all the time, and we have those growth paths. But we're very much absorbed in, how do I get better at leading a team? How do I get better at developing people? How do I continue to raise others up? And not everyone lives and breathes it like we do, right?
Yeah, we're wired differently, right? We think differently. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, we're always putting ourselves in those situations to be exposed to that. And not everyone has, I would say, taken a swan dive off of the cliff into leadership, right? And
I guess,
so yeah,
I guess that'd be like exercise, right? And eating healthy.
Yeah.
If I was around in a circle of people like that, I would be like curious and interested. But at certain points and at most points, my brain's going, yeah, okay, well, I'm not going to eat, whatever, nuts and berries. It's just not happening, man. So I'm just not totally aligned with it. I get it, but I'm not going to probably follow in that direction of mindset, right?
One of the ones that one of the laws that I love is the law of connection. And so leaders touch hearts, leaders connect with people, and that brings different people around them, helps bring out skills, helps get the buy-in, right?
Yeah.
And so law of connection is one of those laws as a leader can work well for you or not. It depends on how good you are at connecting with people. And so that's one I've definitely struggled with. Sometimes I don't slow down long enough to truly connect with people. And nothing can really happen until you've made that connection.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
And our inner circles couldn't have developed if we hadn't made that connection. And so connection is one that I've had to work on. I'm not super a people person, right? I have people that I like and gravitate towards, and so a leader doesn't choose who they connect with. And so getting better at connecting with everyone. On the tech team at church, we have a ton of different personalities. We have a ton of different skill sets. We have all this stuff. And I have to learn who they are. We got one girl that runs track and field, right? Man, I can connect with her. How's the running going? What are you, what's your 5K at? What's your 10K at? Like how are you training? And so we can connect on that level, and I can understand what kind of drives her, right? She loves helping the kids out, stuff like that. And so it's easy for me to connect on that. We have this common ground. There's guys on there that are blue collar, right? They're out, they're doing construction jobs, they're electricians, they're tradies. And we can connect on how's the family, how's the job site going up in Wisconsin,
Sure.
Oh yeah, you're up on a lift all day long and dealing with so we can connect on that. It becomes hard when I don't have that connection or don't seek to find that connection.
Because you're not naturally drawn to that type of a relationship. And so it's interesting, right? You're describing a strategy that doesn't sound authentic,
Right.
but the results that come from it are authentic. And so it's you. First off, you would be great if you were kicked out of your state in Chicago land. You could come to New England because a lot of people are like that over here as well. And there's almost like exercise. You're doing these things you don't really want to do, but you know it has a great benefit, and you're like, oh man, this is awesome, because you've made those connections. So that's really cool, Zach, that you're trying to stretch and grow that muscle of connection, and
Yeah.
and there's always fruits that come from it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it is so valuable because through that connection, like I said, that's linked to the buy-in. You're not going to get buy-in unless you can connect with your team's heart,
Mhm.
and who they really are. And you also, it's hard to know how to build the team, how to delegate out if you don't know who people are,
That's right.
right?
That's
And
right.
so all these laws are just interconnected. You can't
They
have
are.
just one. These 21 laws, every leader has to be working on 21 laws. And we're just sharing the things that we've
But it's not hard, Zach. I kind
no.
of have the image of a snowball going down the hill and it's growing into a gigantic,
Yep.
boulder of snow. You sometimes, matter of fact, and okay, about the book, which is cool, is when you're listening or reading these chapters, John Maxwell brings in real life experiences
Yep.
and companies and successful people, and so you can kind of see an example of what he's talking about. But one of the laws, and I can't remember what John Maxwell brought as examples, but it's called the law of the big mo, right?
Oh yeah.
Momentum, and momentum. It kind of amplifies like the results, and it creates a morale that's exciting, right?
Hmm.
And as a leader, we want to make sure that we maintain it, and we don't like have the wind come out of our sails, right? So momentum makes everything easier. If you imagine yourself as a big sailing ship and there's wind in your sails, you've got the speed going, and it's all these like small winds that keep the wind in the sails. And our job as leaders is to protect it and prevent disruptions. So um, that the law of big mo, or momentum, is a great law, I think, to think about. And if you were to trust Zach and I and listen and read this book, you'll find it's not really that overwhelming. It just starts to, it's like a connect the dot, and this picture is drawn. So I encourage everyone to read the 21 Irrefutable Laws of John Maxwell.
Yeah. And it really isn't overwhelming because once you take that first step into
Mhm.
leadership and you begin to practice these laws, like Doug said, they begin to compound on each other, they begin to snowball, um, and they all interact with each other at
That's
all
right.
times. And
That's right.
so you might be working on the law of navigation, and all of a sudden the law of addition comes into play, or
That's
the
right.
law of a solid foundation, right? You may be leading in this direction, and Big Mo comes up and you are fighting against that momentum, and so all of a sudden the wind is knocked out of your sails, and it's
That's right.
because you don't have a solid foundation going on, so you got to go back and work on the foundation. And so it just, like, it's always fluid, right? I
Yes.
think of
Absolutely.
leadership as a very fluid thing.
Yeah.
um and so, like, as we're just talking about it on the podcast, it may seem overwhelming, but in practice, it's fun. I don't know. Maybe we're just
It
wired
is.
weird.
And listen, like we know that Saul and Andrew are in the comments, so they're listening right now. I mean, I know I've never had a chance to hug Saul yet, but meet him face to face. But through relationship of phone calls and texts and things like that, and getting to know Andrew face to face all these years and different settings that we've hung out. You guys, you guys are already doing really well a bunch of these laws. And
Right.
so that's a cool thing too, is to read a really powerful book and go, hey, that I do that. Huh.
Mhm.
All right. This is great. And now you're kind of this is bringing a momentum of excitement to you that, I'm actually I'm pretty good here. And then to your point, right, where you stumble, you recognize that law, and then you get those bullet points of remembering what you have to do next,
Mhm.
or not to give up. Sometimes you might just go, screw it, I'll just do this myself. Well, you've just created a bottleneck. You've just you lost the law of empowerment, of influence. You start to recognize, okay, all right, stay to it, stay true to the goal here, which is to be great at all these laws.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think it's about time for me to read through this book again. I need to more intentionally practice some of these things. And one of the I'm going to share a tip that has worked for me. If I have a book that is just like juicy, right? Like just has these things that I need to work on, I listen to it and I read it
Yeah,
at the same time.
yeah,
So I'll have my AirPods in and I'll be reading the book and I'll be highlighting and I'll be taking notes because I know I need to work on
yeah,
something within
yeah,
that section. And so it's like, hey, where in my life is this applicable? And I write it down. Hey, I'm going through this and this particular situation, and here's where this law applies to it. And so listening and reading and taking notes at the same time, it engages these different areas in the brain.
yeah,
So I think
yeah,
it's about time for me. I'm coming into the season where I'm not going to be on roofs. I think it's about time to
yeah.
strengthen that leadership muscle for myself.
And I'll tell you something, Zach. The Plod AI recorder, and I think iPhone
Mhm.
people automatically have a pretty great recorder. I have terrible handwriting and find myself often not in a place to take notes when I'm listening to something. So I'm just recording it and
Mhm.
then moving it over to a summary statement. And not this book, because I haven't read this book in a while, but I've got a couple books where I've just got my notes and thoughts. It's so cool to look back 6 months, a year later and go, oh, that's right. I did have sort of a light bulb moment. And then I reflect on it and go, you know what? I've really embraced that. And then there's a couple things that I'm like, oh, I completely forgot how excited I was
Mm.
about hearing this point. This one's about endless customers, from Marcus Sheridan. But like, there's a couple things that I remember being inspired by. But again, the law of what was it? Which one is it? The law of priorities. That's what it is.
Mm.
I'll forget. Like, damn it, that was like something that I thought was important 8 months ago, and I've already kind of gotten it lost in the weeds, and then I get it back because I've taken those notes. But writing them down, not the best thing for me. So that AI recorder that I don't know if you're still using,
Oh yeah.
has been really helpful for me just to kind of take a dictation note of, like you said, reading or hearing something and recording that is a great thing.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about that plot. I have the pin, the little pin, because I can clip it on my hat while I'm on a roof
Oh,
and
there you
just
go. Yeah.
discussing a repair. I actually just used it over the weekend,
Mm.
Friday. And so yeah, I think that is probably a better way for me to take notes this time around.
Because you
As
can ask the AI to sort it in a way that you want it to be, the transcription to be read.
Yeah, and
Uh,
not just that, but
oh,
then you can mind map it. Like, hey, here's
there you
things
go.
I'm working
That's
on.
right.
Here's things I'm doing well and I have worked on.
Yeah,
Here's things I'm not even paying attention to right
that's right.
now. And so it can kind of mind map out
Yeah,
these
yeah.
different things as you're going through it. So yeah, it's
Forgot about
definitely
mind mapping.
it's a powerful tool for sure.
Yeah.
So
Wonderful.
Guys, hopefully this helped. If you haven't read John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, get it on Audible, get it on Amazon, get a hard copy. Like I said, if you really want to level up and dig into the juicy, and this came from Alex Hermosi. He's done it many times. He listens and reads at the same time. It really works. I don't know how to explain it, but it does fire these different neurons. And so listen to it, read it. At a bare minimum, listen to it while you're driving in between calls, and it'll really help you level up. So
Love it.
all right, guys, have a good day. Get out there, love your teams, love your customers, and we'll see you next time on the Morning Grind. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Morning Grind podcast by Service Alliance Group. Subscribe to our channel and make sure you visit our website at servicealliancegroup.com for appliance repair business resources.